What's up, guys? My name is Zach, and today I am driving a 2023 Volkswagen Golf R. Up front is a 2.0-liter turbocharged inline-4, and down below is a 6-speed manual transmission. Now, I am super excited to be driving this Golf R for many reasons. First of all, I've driven a couple of Golf Rs in the past, but I haven't driven the Mark 8 before. This is the 8th generation of the Volkswagen Golf, and so I'm excited to share my thoughts with you today. But if you would like to share your vehicle with me here on the Shooting Cars YouTube channel, you can head on over to my website, zackpradel.com/submit. Quick and easy submission form, takes under a minute to fill out. I come to you, and you would get a video of your vehicle, just like the one you're watching now of this Golf R. But let's get back to that 2-liter under the hood. Well, it's a shared engine with a lot of other Volkswagen products. 2.0-liter turbo is synonymous with all of VW's lineup. Watch. This Atlas just drove past. That has a 2-liter turbo option. They put it in everything. However, this is quite the hopped up version. The regular GTI makes 241 horsepower. This makes 315 horsepower. And particularly the manual makes 280 foot-pounds of torque, where the automatic Golf R actually makes 295 foot-pounds of torque. So the manual actually makes slightly less torque, 15 foot-pounds less, but I wouldn't worry too much. The power is very, very solid and very competitive with other vehicles in this market. Comparing it to the GR Corolla, I would say it's right there. And that's no surprise. The Golf R has always been up in that area. It's fast. It is pretty fast. As you heard, shifting into second, traction control kicked in just for a little second there. But in every gear, there's a little bit of boost lag. It seemed like it was kind of hard to keep that momentum going throughout all of the gears. I felt like every time I shifted, I had to wait for the turbo just a quarter second. Not totally in love with that feeling. I think the GR Corolla keeps itself in the boost band a lot better, but this car is fast. Now, like I said, paired to it is a 6-speed manual transmission, and that's what I expected all Golf Rs to come with. It's actually not the case. You can also find a 7-speed dual-clutch automatic, which I am a big fan of. In terms of automatic transmissions in sportier cars, Volkswagen does a really, really good job with their dual-clutch 7-speed DSGs. And what's interesting about this manual is that it's actually exclusive to North America. Europe doesn't get a manual option for the Golf R, which is contrary to literally every other vehicle sold in Europe. They get all the cool manual cars when us Yankees are stuck with automatics because they just don't sell as well here. No idea why Volkswagen did this, but the manual transmission is exclusive to North America. Last but not least, what makes the Golf R so much more special than the GTI is the all-wheel drive system. Now, previously in the Mark 7 Golf R, it actually had a Haldex center differential. This has a torque vectoring rear differential, so it's a little bit different way of doing the all-wheel drive system. But on these road tests, as I usually do, I can't really particularly tell you the differences. So how does it feel to actually drive the Golf R? Well, it's a very nice driving experience. There is a pretty decent amount of road feel, but that's what I would expect out of a sportier vehicle like this. Visibility is actually pretty good, and all the inputs are really, really solid. The clutch is light. It's a very, very light clutch, and the shifter's just a touch stiffer than I would have liked. However, I am definitely not complaining while the sun is up and I'm driving a Golf R. The steering is snappy and quick, and overall, I'm having a very, very pleasant experience in the Golf R. With that stuff out of the way, let's talk about the interior, because some journalists say this is where the wheels start to fall off the wagon, and I'm on the fence if I agree or don't. Well, in front of me, I do get a digital gauge cluster. This looks amazing. I love the digital gauge cluster. I think it looks fantastic, very clear, very concise, and when you're starting to get close to that red line, the red line actually appears, which I think is a really, really cool touch. Now you can swap around this gauge cluster as well. You could change some settings, which I'll cycle through to the best of my ability. And I really, really like it. This feels very fresh and very modern, which is nice to see for a vehicle that just recently came out. On the steering wheel, on the left, I have my cruise control options, volume, and my R button that will put it into race mode at the touch of a button. And off to the right, I have my selectors for that screen in the gauge cluster, as well as my skip track and heated steering wheel. I also get these nice R blue accents throughout the steering wheel and the rest of the interior, but I really, really like how they've done the touch points of the Mark 8. Now, the buttons on the steering wheel, I don't really love, but we'll talk about that a little bit later on. Off to the left, I do have my headlight switches. These are also haptic buttons, which I don't really like. Moving onto the door, I have my lock and unlock, power mirrors, and power windows. Moving into the center, this is the infotainment system. We do have Apple CarPlay and Android Auto that are wireless. And I do have a bunch of features in here that I want to talk about. First of all, my heated and cooled seats are run through the screen. If you guys are fans of the channel, you'll understand that I really, really don't like that. I like physical buttons for my heated seats, and unfortunately, Volkswagen doesn't give that to you. However, one thing I do want to praise is the backup camera. First of all, I think it's very clear. It's very concise. I like it a lot. But what's interesting is that it will turn on even if the vehicle isn't in reverse. What I mean by that is if you roll backwards at a stoplight or you're just rolling down the driveway, if you have a steep driveway and you don't put it in reverse when you're getting out of the garage, it will still turn on the backup camera, which is huge, huge, huge for manual cars. Down below that center screen, however, we do have more haptic buttons. We have a slider for the volume. We have a slider for the temperature, of which is dual zone. Down below that, we do have more haptic buttons for the climate controls, the menu, the assist, and the mode. So basically these work as hotkeys for the center infotainment screen. And we do have 4 different drive modes: comfort, sport, race, and custom. Climate controls are completely ran through the screen. Don't love that, but here we are. And we do have a parking assist menu as well. Down below, we have 2 USB-C chargers. Love that they're USB-C, very modern. Then we have a cubby with a wireless charger. Love that. And then we come to the center console. Up at the left, we have the start-stop button, and then we have the shifter itself. Again, another blue accent here in the Golf R. Love to see that. And then we get our power parking brake and a dead switch. The Golf R, at least in my opinion, is supposed to be the top dog. It's supposed to be the king of the castle, and yet I'm getting blank switches? Don't love that. Then we do have cup holders, so we will do a big friggin' bottle test here in the Golf R, and it passes. I do get a 12-volt outlet to the right of those cup holders, however, and I do get a center console, only but the necessities in there. The seats are comfortable. They have more blue accents. They have R embroidered in them, and I love the look of them, and they're not too aggressive for a bigger guy like me. The Honda Civic Type R squeezes me like I'm in a vice. This, not so much. Now, you can look at that 2 ways. These are less aggressive. On a track, they might not be as great, but for daily driving, these seats are a lot better than the Civic. However, speaking of seats, we do have back seats, so let's go do a back seat review. All right, so we're in the back of the 2023 Volkswagen Golf R, and a couple of things to note. First of all, my knees are a little bit squished, and this actually is after moving the seat up a little bit. So the back seats are not crazy spacious or crazy comfortable. I do have heated back seats, which is a very, very nice option, as well as I do have my own climate controls back here. 2 vents to accompany that, and then I can pull this down. We do have a center console with 2 cup holders. Headroom is actually really, really good. Even with these sunglasses on my head, I'm not coming close. And I do get these LEDs, which look really, really cool, and I'm sure would be functional at night. Let's hop out. We'll take a quick look at the trunk and cargo space, and then we'll talk about the looks. All right, around the back of the Golf R, and something I love that Volkswagen does is that this is actually the handle to pull up the tailgate. They do that on a lot of their models, not just the Golf. Once we are back here, we do have a nice privacy cover, as well as some decent storage, a little 12-volt outlet and an LED light, and we don't get a spare tire. Very, very sad to see. Other than that, one of the main reasons or one of the big draws for the Golf chassis is this rear tailgate. I think it is decently spacious. Now we gotta talk about the looks, and this is finished in deep black pearl, which I like the color of. I think it looks pretty good. And I like the blue accents again around the outside, the blue calipers, the blue striping on the front of the car. I think it really makes this car feel like one solid thought was put into it, as opposed to, oh, you know, Susie designed the headlights, Toto designed the roof. It doesn't feel that way. It feels like one solid idea, and I love that. But now, let's get on to my final thoughts. What do I think driving the brand new Mark 8 Golf R? Well, I have to say that I really, really love it. It's very fun to drive. It's very well equipped. And I have to say that to me personally, that's its biggest pull over the GR Corolla. The GR Corolla, even at its top ballsiest trim, you're not gonna get features like you get in here. You're not gonna have parking assist. You're not going to have fun and interesting drive modes. You're not gonna have the nice leather and the nice touch points as you have in here. But in terms of driving fun and just grinning uncontrollably, I think the GR Corolla is actually my pick. That car just seemed wound up and giddy and angry and had something to prove. That's the big difference. The Golf R doesn't have anything to prove. It's on its 8th generation, at least the Golf in general. And what's funny is that over the years, there have been so many competitors to the GTI and the Golf R. The hot hatch scene is pretty good right now. We have the Civic Type R, the GR Corolla, the Acura Integra, and now the Integra Type S coming soon. If you're okay with automatic, there's the Mazda 3 Turbo. If you're okay with a sedan instead of a hatch, then the Elantra N is here for you. And so some of those might fit your driving style better, but the Golf will always be there in one form or another, ready to work for you when the others end up going out of business. That's one of the coolest parts about driving this Mark 8, is just the legacy of it all. I've driven the Mark 6, Mark 7, and now Mark 8 Golf R. I want to shake its hand and say, you know, I knew your dad. I knew your grandpa. And fortunately, funny enough, from the same owner as this Golf R, I met your great-great-great-grandpa, the Mark II. So the Golf R might not be the king of the castle, at least in my opinion, but it'll always be there. It'll always be good. At least it's continued to be good over the last several decades. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Huge thank you to Andre for letting me take out his Golf R. This thing really is a very, very solid car. He just recently purchased it, and I cannot be more excited for him. But don't forget to rate the video, comment on the video, and subscribe if you really liked it. Take care, guys.